I'm preparing to shine from the inside out.
Whoa! I will admit that she's kinda hot.
What? You like her?
Shut up, Zornox! Hello everyone, Digigex90 here, and welcome to another episode of my review series. This time, I'm going to be reviewing the Season 7 episodes, It Isn't the Main Thing About You, and the Health Information. Before I begin, you might be wondering, why am I not going to review Daring Done? Well, you see, the reason why I'm not going to review this episode is because I pretty much have the same opinion as one of my favorite Brony reviewers, Miss Anthropony. Originally, I was actually going to review Daring Done, and I actually liked the episode at first, but that was until I actually saw Miss Anthropony's review of it, and he actually brought up points that I can actually agree with. So pretty much in conclusion, my opinion on this episode is pretty much this, guys. Since now that's out of the way, let's get started with It Isn't the Main Thing About You. The beginning didn't caught much of my interest until the Sugar Cube Corner scene because the conflict that was shown in the flower stand scene was very short-lived, and the other scenes with the fan and couch shop didn't appeal to me that much either. But to be honest, I will give credit for the staff to have those two shots appear later on in the episode when Rarity lost some of her mane. Now, I actually do have a few things I would like to talk about. For one, I'm actually glad Sakura is back for this episode along with the next one because she's been absent for, I don't know, 3 or 4 seasons, and I wanted her to come back at some point. As much as I do like her coming back in this episode, there is something that kind of bothers me about her being shown in this episode. For what she's been used for this episode, it's alright, but I did wish this was a Sakura episode. Because throughout the entire series, she's been used as a plot device creator and a minor character. I have nothing against her being these two things, but I would have loved her to see being a main character for once. Or twice, depending on it. And if this was a Sakura episode, I would have loved to see either of these two choices happening. 1. Focusing on Sakura herself, and us the audience sees what she can be able to do other than just making potions and other medicines, because I would have loved to see if she has like other interests and other hobbies than just the following. Or number 2, Sakura visiting her family. They could be either living somewhere in Equestria, like some village we haven't seen before, or somewhere outside of Equestria where she lives on some sort of continent, something along the lines of Africa. It's very annoying that despite having zebra OCs in the fandom, she's like the only one in the show. And this actually bothers me because it gives me this weird feeling that zebras might actually be rare in Equestria, if not, maybe the entire planet they live on. Okay. Now, I know I was just exaggerating that part, and I actually was, I will admit that. Again, for what the staff did to have her for this episode, it's okay, but it would have been awesome if they actually did make a Sakura episode, because that way, we would have had another background character that actually had some character development outside of what the staff usually use Sakura for, and if given the opportunity and permission, more zebras would have appeared on the show. But I guess that's not going to happen anytime soon. Oh, because the staff just don't know what to do with her, other than just being a minor character and being a plot device creator. Ugh. Moving on. Second, one thing that bothers me about this episode is that I wonder why the hell doesn't Sakura put any labels on her potions? Seriously, her not doing this actually caused Rarity to grab the wrong one and actually lost some of her mane as a result. I am not completely for sure how many times this actually has happened. And if this is actually the first time this actually happened to Sakura, then here's what I'm actually saying. Place some fucking labels on your potions next time! It's not that hard! So yeah, in the next scene, Rarity loses some of her mane, and I have to admit at first, I was actually kind of chuckling because of how the mane looks, but to be fair, I would have reacted the same way if I was in her situation. After talking with Sakura about the whole situation, she goes to the same 3 places that she was in the beginning of the episode, and... Okay, I actually do have a problem with these 3 scenes. I am like right now, are you ponies this fucking stupid? Literally, are you really this fucking dumb? You can't actually recognize Rarity of her own voice? Or a freaking coat color? Okay, I know she was actually wearing a cloak, but it isn't like that she was trying to cover her face or changing her freaking voice. Well, Rarity's day's now ruined, all because of how the fucking ponies can't barely recognize her through her voice or her fucking coat color despite her wearing a fucking cloak! I'm moving on before the situation for me just gets worse. Anyways, we do get to the scene where Rarity actually talks to Twilight and Starlight and... Thank fucking God they can be able to recognize her! You bigger boys are so fucking stupid! I just want to fucking live with the stress! Calm yourself, man. Maintain your anger. Progress. Don't let that scene get to you. Just go with the flow. Okay. I have calmed down now. And I hope that scene doesn't bother me again. Anyways. I actually like the scene with Twilight and Starlight trying to use their horns to replace Rarity's messed up mane with a new one because it's entertaining to watch having these creative and bizarre made-up manes to appear on Rarity's head, and it failed to replace the original one. And there is this one part of the scene that actually makes me laugh, and it's this one. That just never gets old. I do have the question, why does the stallion's mane look like a mare's mane?
Nobody knows!
Maybe he liked it that way. By the way, this scene with Starlight and Twilight trying to cast a new mane on Rarity by teleporting from a different place in Equestria actually reminds me of that scene in the Pokemon movie Jirachi Wishmaker when Ash and the others asked their respective wishes to Jirachi, and it brought what they want by teleporting them from another place. So, after that part where Sakura said that she actually found a cure, but it won't be done by the time of that photo shoot, she called Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and Fluttershy to help out with ideas to replace her mane, and I actually like the design of all 3 of them. For Applejack's idea, I know it was made out of hay, and it's actually a bonnet not made for a photo shoot, but if I were to see Applejack wear that, I think she would look adorable. For Rainbow Dash's idea, I really like the design of it. It makes me wonder if they will ever use this for a background pony, or someone in the fandom making an OC using this mane style. It's too bad though it was actually made out of clouds, but despite that, I still love the design nevertheless. For Fluttershy's idea, it does look like it isn't meant for the photo shoot, but I think it looks like a nicely done mane using a different variety of plant life. I hope there weren't any insects on those plants, because if that would have been the case, then she would have had ticks all over her mane. Okay, now after this, we get to the part that I actually feel like it's the highlight of this episode. After Twilight and the others encourage her to get her confidence back, which I actually like they managed to do that, this scene happens.
Rarity? What are you doing?
I'm preparing to shine from the inside out.
Oh!
I love Rarity's design here. The colors of it are just top notch, and the accessories Rarity is wearing, like the jacket and the spiky dog collar like bands on her left front hoof and the tail, fit her pretty well. Heck, even the short tail fits as well. The reason why I think this is the highlight of the episode is that not only I like the punk rock star look to Rarity, but I do like how she got her confidence back and actually went to the same 3 stores and helped out the shopkeeper. Although I really find it funny that they forgot about Pinkie Pie's situation until the end of the episode. It would have been alright if they knew about her situation earlier, but I think it's just a nitpick I'm pointing out. Overall, I think this episode's okay. Half of the scenes of this episode are good, like the Rarity punk scene, while the other half is cringeworthy, like that moment with the shopkeepers can't recognize Rarity of her voice. But despite that, I might watch this episode again at some point in the future. Since I'm done with reviewing this episode, let's move on to a health of information. I'm going to say that this episode was quite a treat for me. There are actually a few problems with it, but I will talk about them once I get to that part. First of all, the pacing of this episode is pretty good. I never came across a moment where I would be bored and move on to watching something else or playing some other video game. I like how the conflict was set up during the beginning of the episode, and I think it was reasonably done well. Sort of, but I will talk about it later. I'm actually glad Sakura appeared in this episode, and I do like what the staff did to her. Why I said that? Well, after when she fell to the water, grabbing the moss, and actually got infected by a gas from a plant that causes her to have a disease known as swamp fever, and there was no known cure, she couldn't be able to do much to cure herself. I think this is a great change of pace because with any episode she appeared in, she seems to always have the solution to the problem. But this time, she doesn't even have one. And I appreciate that this time, someone else has to do it. And that someone else would be Fluttershy. About Fluttershy, I think her character for this episode is actually done well. What I mean by that is that I like when Fluttershy found out about that Sakura would actually die by turning to a tree by either a few days or a few weeks. She wastes no time to find the cure for her illness. She even requested Twilight for help on this situation. I know there were times that Fluttershy pushed herself a bit too much, but here's the thing. In certain situations like the one in this episode, you just have to be very determined and keep at it before it might even be too late to save your friend, family member, or even yourself. And I do get that you do need to slow down on certain things sometimes, and it's quite understandable. I actually think Fluttershy being very determined is actually done enough to where it doesn't make her out of character. About Twilight Sparkle here, her being the calm and the voice of reason type of pony is actually kind of a nice touch for this episode, and I actually like that. Now, I want to talk about the backstory with Mage Meadowbrook. To be honest, I actually like it. I love how it details the events of Mage's perspective of what was going on with the swamp fever disease spreading pony to pony and how she managed to find the cure. Speaking about the backstory, I would like to talk about the Flash Bees. For one, I actually like the design of these bees. We all know that there is supposed to be a subspecies of the regular bees that appeared during the earlier seasons of MOP, especially that one episode with Rainbow and Applejack having a staring contest. But there are actually a few differences between the bees. Like for one, they actually have blue stripes onto their bodies instead of the usual black stripes, and their stingers are in the shape of a lightning bolt. Also, is it just me, or is it their stingers have a bit more effect to them than regular bees? What I mean by that is, when Fluttershy was stung a few times, she started to lose consciousness until she actually fell unconscious from the tree and woke up 3 days later. I am not for sure if Flash Bees have a tranquilizer effect to their stingers, or it's just Fluttershy getting stung with a combination of her not getting enough sleep and the swamp fever. However, when I saw Mage getting stung by the bees, she actually did fall down from the tree, but she wasn't unconscious. So I have no idea if they didn't sting her enough to feel unconscious, or is there something I'm missing here? Well, anyways, as much as I do like this episode, as I said before, I do have a few problems with it, and they're actually noticeable. Firstly, Do you remember how I said that the conflict of this episode is sorta done well? Well, it still is, but it's also a conflict that can be avoidable. How it would have been avoidable is that Sakura could have brought a net with her, or Fluttershy would have helped her out by collecting some of the moss while flying in the air. Heck, both of these alternatives can be used at the same time, and it would have prevented Sakura from falling to the body of water and getting infected in the first place. My second problem is that I wonder why Mage never gave out her information of the cure of the swamp fever. I mean, she managed to find the cure to the disease and actually wrote it down to her journal, so why not give that out to the other medical doctors throughout Equestria? It's like if someone were to manage to find a cure to AIDS or cancer and never gave that information to other medical doctors throughout your country. And hell, even outside of your country. Really? Really dickish move if you ask me. Okay, there might have been some reasons why she's never done it, like maybe the disease is only exclusive to the swamp and it was never spread outside of that swamp. That could be the reason, but here's a flaw with that. What if it were to spread so far to where eventually it would have spread to everywhere in Equestria, including Canterlot?
It would have infected everyone.
My point exactly! So, she should have spread that information to others so that way it would not try to kill any pony! If the disease were to spread, and the information of the cure wasn't spread by then, well, congratulations! You risked every pony in Equestria, including the two sisters of Canterlot, to die by turning into a tree. And if the sisters were to turn into trees, they won't be able to move the sun and moon, and the entire planet would have been at risk. So, I hope you're fucking happy, you psychotic dumbass! The third problem I had with this episode is what Twilight said in this clip.
Those flash bead critters are tricky.
Cattail's right. I can't even use magic to calm them down. We'll have to find an...
You can't be this stupid! You can't!
Are we supposed to be okay with this? Like, seriously, are we supposed to buy this? I don't buy it one bit. The episode doesn't show us Twilight using any spell to deal with the flash beast, so I don't buy it one bit. That's just stupid! Stupid, stupid!
This is stupid! This is stupid! Stupid, 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 stupid,
I was just stupid! Okay, I've calmed down now. I can't believe I raged at that part, but that was very stupid of the show to do that. But whatever, I'm moving on before this just gets worse for me. Overall, other than the problems I just stated before, I love this episode. The story is well done, Fluttershy's character is actually spot on, and the other aspects of this episode are done well. This episode is actually one of my favorites for Season 7, and I will give it another watch at some point sooner or later. Well, that's about it for this episode of my review series. The next episode will be me reviewing Marks and Recreation and Once Upon a Zeppelin. Before I go, here's something I have to say. Sunset is best punk rock star, and Mage Meadowbrook and Subnebula are best pillars of Equestria. Anyways, this is Digigex90
And Zaribox.
signing out, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace!
Ain't not when you need